sat in the truck, you know, hauling these pieces, you know,
Bless
that they
you,
go
Lord.
down.
Come on,
I got
man.
that thing home and got to unloading it by myself, and it was so heavy. I thought, man, I wish I had a foot with this thing. I decided to throw it over, you know. And,
Come on.
I took all Friday, and I thought I need to put that together because you know it's not going to be good for it to lay out there on the ground. And Alyssa helped me with one wall one day, and we quit. You know, so Friday I got out there by myself, and I got to put that thing together. And I mean, where I be out back, my arms get so tired. And, I got to the top piece, and it was the heaviest. And I got on the front, was trying to put it up there, you know, and I kept saying, Lord, just let me get that up there, and it kept falling. And I tried to push it in there, you know, and hang it up on the side. And then, you know, that wouldn't work. It fell. And I finally, you know, they say work smarter, not harder. A dummy, you know, it might take a little longer. And I thought about making a little hub on the backside. And I thought I'd get more leverage if I just pull it around there. So I got it up there. And I had to push a little in the back, and I'd go in the front and make sure it wasn't going to fall. And I finally got back there, you know, my arms up. And they told me they was getting so heavy. And I thought about Moses there, you know, and they was in that battle. His arms were getting tired. And they went over there to help him up, you know, held his arms down. And when they got that, he was winning the victory, you know. And they was winning that battle. And I began to think again, so many times just as lifting my arms up. You know, help me go a little further, you know.
Praise the Lord.
And the wind was blowing, you know, and I thought, man, it's going to fall. And I kept running around there, and I finally got it over. But I just thought about you and tell me, God, just lift my arms and just help me to go a little further. You know, every time I come in here, it seems like you help hold them up a little and help me to go further, you know. And them messages about having that burden money, you know, little by little, he's giving me that. And I just appreciate you, and I thank you for holding my arms up a little bit to just walk me alive and help me go a little further.
Yeah. Bless him, Father.
Bless him, Lord. Amen. Oh, thank you, Lord. Lord, bring it down. Right over it on him now.
Anybody else got anything to say?
Brother Randy, I tell you, it's a good place to be. Most of all, it's just good to be saved. That last song that I sung, it's been on my heart now for a few days. Just couldn't get it off of me. Go ahead and sing it. Seemed like on a Saturday I was singing it. Lord just kept coming by just about every time. You know, I get to those words that I've got a roof up above me, and a good place, you know, to sleep. There's food on my table. Not one time if I ever went hungry. I thank the Lord for that. It's all through and by Him that that's happening. You know, I don't have a lot of new things, but I don't need a lot of new things either. He gives me everything that I truly need.
That's right.
He gives me my heart's desire.
That He
I
does.
just want to thank you for that. I thank you for everything that He's done for me, my many blessings that He's shown me to walk with life. You know, it seems like I'm just so unworthy sometimes. You know, when you sit and think about it, you know, everything that He had to go through.
Yes.
I'm just so unworthy of it. I'm still so thankful, though. I'm truly thankful for everything that He does.
Truly
for me.
thankful. Yes, sir.
Just good to be saved this morning.
I walked in there and he's like, "You about ready?" And I said, "I gotta get my foundation on and I'll be ready to go." And I thought about that, and I thought about how, as long as I got my foundation, I'm ready to go. And, I put my makeup on a little backwards probably. I put my eyeshadow on first, and I put my foundation on last. It covers up any mistakes I might have made. I thought about how our foundation covers that. We're ready to go. I'm thankful I have my foundation. You know, I asked the Lord to help me for everything. And this is going to be better, but the Lord has kept me telling me to tell it. I've got a good stove. And if I don't have a fire, I'm cold when everybody else is warm. So I'm warm, and I'm a terrible fire builder. So I put everything in there. Bless her, Lord. And I lied it. And I said, "Lord, help my fire to burn."
Wow.
And you know,
Yeah.
do something. And I come back and die burn. Oh my goodness.
No.
Thank you, Lord, for the fire.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Since I live by myself, I can ask the Lord some things that may seem funny to other people. But I have to ask Him all day long for things to help me with. Thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me.
Yeah.
You know, even sometimes I get up with all these problems, especially through my head, and then I stop. And I think back to all the things the Lord's helped me with. Sickness, financial problems, all these brought me through.
Yeah, Barbara.
And sometimes you wonder how He did it, but you know He's the one that did it.
Thank you, Lord.
Appreciate this. That's about it.
Like I say, it's gonna be safe.
Gracious Lord, thank you, Lord, what was there before in our hearts, Lord, already today. Pray, Lord, this morning you will just be, Lord, here in this place, God, help me to stand. Help those you want to this morning, I pray. God, we pray, Lord, you help us, God, open our hearts. Lord, let up your word, Lord, I pray. Lord, lead us, guide us, direct us, Lord, through this way. Help us, God, to remind you, Lord, that your word, Lord, is Paul, Lord, wrote down, Lord, help me these things. Lord, move here, Lord, I pray. Father, we know, Lord, today, God, help us, God, to be firm. Lord, we pray, Lord, today, we give you the praise and honor and glory. Lord, as we go this far, these things we pray, we
God,
do.
for everything that's good in my life. I know it comes from you. Just bring God the lost souls to the Lord. Help us do our part, do what we need to do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
This time you're dismissed to Sunday school. this morning, Marty. I don't have anything that's going to probably be very exciting to you. But what I have is tried and true, Jeremy. What I have has been tested. I've leaned on it when I thought that I could put up my all into it, and my all would fail, Margaret. I lean on him, and he gives me what I need. So I thought about that, and I thought about the way that the service has been going in the past little bit.
Yeah.
Jeremy asked me last week to teach, and we had a wonderful service. And I didn't have to, but I knew this week that the day would come that I would have to stand on what he gave me. Now this is very familiar scripture. And there's probably going to be a lot of reading. But I want you to know something. That there is something about the Word of God that should bring ease to His people. It should bring guidance to our lives. It should bring us to a place that we don't feel the discomfort and the troubles of this world for a little while. If we'll just fall into His Word and let Him have His way with us for a little while.
Come on, Dan.
Turn over with me to the first book of Kings, in the 18th chapter. We'll give you just a little backstory here. I know it's very familiar scripture, but this is what the Lord's given me. And like I said, there'll probably be a lot of reading, but any of you men, women, it doesn't matter. Lord, lay something on your heart, share it with us this morning. Because it's not just me standing up here. I learn as much from you all as you can me.
Oh, yeah.
If we'll just go in together on this thing.
Come on with it.
All right, just a little bit of backstory here. Jezebel and Ahab has busted up and killed a bunch of the prophets, and they've done all that they can to stop the word of God from going out. But Elijah here, he's out here, and the Lord has sent him to a place. He sent him over to this brook where the ravens has brought him food, or bread and flesh, by day, the morning and of the evening. And the best I can understand in my study of this, I think he stayed there for about a year's span until that brook dried up. And then the Lord moved him again. And I thought about that. The Lord's going to take care of His own. If we'll depend on Him, He'll take care of us. But now, I believe if Elijah would have went out, Marty, and tried to do a little hunting or maybe a little fishing or something, it would have dried up long before then. But he put his faith in God, and God kept him there for a year. But when that brook dried up, he didn't have to go without a meal, I don't think, for one time. Because the Lord had done made other plans. He sent him another way. He sent him down to a little widow woman in Zarephath, and he told him to go to her. So he comes up to the widow woman who's out picking up sticks, and she said that she's only got a little bit of meal. She's going to prepare that, then her and her son's going to eat it and die. He asked of her, he said, would you prepare me a cake first? Could you imagine being down to your very last and somebody coming up and saying, well, can I have some of it? And because of her trust in this, I think for 2 years now that cruse of oil or that bar of meal never did fail.
Come on.
So He's took care of these. Now we're going to get into what the Lord showed me in this 18th chapter. Bear with me, I can't hardly see this morning. It says, and it came to pass after many days that the word of the Lord came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, Go show thyself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. So I got a little ahead of myself. We know now that it hadn't rained there. Elijah told him, said, it's not going to rain anymore. It's not going to rain at all. And here it has been 3 years now through this drought and this famine. And still yet Elijah, the Lord's come to Elijah and says, show yourself to Ahab. And Elijah went to show himself unto Ahab, and there was sore famine in Samaria.
Come on.
And Ahab called Obadiah, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly, for it was so when Jezebel cut off the prophets and the Lord, Obadiah had 200 prophets and hid them by 50s in a cave and fed them with bread and water. So Obadiah here, he feared the Lord, and it kind of struck us as odd when we read that how he could fear the Lord, but still yet he was working for Ahab and Jezebel. But still yet, we've got to think about this. In your mind, God puts people in places. And I know a lot of times I think, well, why am I in such a spot?
He said, I've got need of you here. Just hold on for a little while. And I'm sure that's how Obadiah felt. He thought, here I am working for these people, and they've tried to kill everybody. But he took 100 of them and hid them in 2 places in caves. So God had use for him being where he was at. Even though it must have been torment to him working for these people, still yet there was need of him there. And that's why, because he does to take care of some of these people.
Come on, Dan.
All right. So, verse 5 says, And Ahab said unto Obadiah, Go into the land until all the fountains of water and until all the brooks, peradventure we may find grass to save the horses and the mules alive, that we lose not all of the beast. All right, I told you, he showed me a lot in this. So here they have been in this famine this long, and instead of worrying about why they're in a famine, they're trying to just deal with it. Is that not us as Christians nowadays? Instead of getting right down to the source of the problem, we just try to deal with what's going on in our lives. So Ahab, I'm sure Obadiah knew exactly what was going on. Elijah called for this. Obadiah, this is what the Lord sent our way. But still yet, instead of looking for a way out of that, they're looking for a way to cope with it.
Come on.
I'm telling you, a lot of times coping gets us into a lot more trouble than what just getting down to the bar fight. As Marty said the other night, shelling down the corn, a lot of times it takes that. But we, proud people that we are, we'll fight and struggle with this as long as we can, instead of getting right to what we know is the problem is.
Yeah.
Anyone got anything to those first 5 verses? Please feel free.
Come on, Dan.
All right, verse 6 says, So they divided the land between them to pass throughout it, and Ahab went into the way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. And as Obadiah was in the way, behold, Elijah met him, and he knew him, and fell upon his face, and said, Art thou my Lord Elijah? Who knows? Who knew how it was that he come up on him? But when he seen him, he knew that there was something about him.
Yes.
They've been searching for him. They've searched everywhere for him.
Come on.
Who would come up to find him but Obadiah? I'm telling you, folks, God has a plan. There's no doubt about it. We're not here by chance, by circumstances. I don't believe in none of that stuff because I believe in God. How can I believe in such a thing as that? That God knows the very numbers of the hairs on my head. So I can't leave things to chance. Either we're blessed or we're not. Me and the guy I'm building a church in Blaine, and there's a guy that came there. Let me tell you this little story for you.
Come on.
There was a guy come there Wednesday, and we were talking about it, and he said, let me tell you about this. He said, I see you got the steeple and the baptistry delivered. And I said, yeah, he came yesterday, and tears welled up his eyes. He said, let me tell you how that come about. He said, you know that check that I brought up here and gave to you to pay for that? And I said, yeah. And he said, you remember the amount? And I said, well, not to the dollar, but yeah, I remember pretty close. And he said, I'll tell you how God works. He said, we have a quarterly fellowship offering. He said, and it goes to the building fund. He said, what we took up that night was exactly what we owed on that baptistry steeple. And he lifted his hand and said, tell me there's not a God. God puts his approval on things. I tell you.
Come on, Dan.
All right. He fell to his face and said, Art thou my Lord Elijah? And he answered him and said, I am. Go tell the Lord, behold, Elijah, go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here. And he said, what have I sinned that thou wouldest deliver thy servant into the hand of Ahab to slay me? I'll get into that in just a second. It says, and the Lord thy God liveth, there is no nation or kingdom whether my Lord hath not sent to seek thee. And when he said he is not here, he took an oath of that kingdom and that nation that they found thee not. And now thou sayest, go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here.
Yeah.
So he's telling Elijah here, he says, why would you send me out to do this? He's looked for you everywhere. Why are you sending me to do this? It says, verse 12 says, and it shall come to pass, as soon as I'm gone from thee, that the Spirit of the Lord shall carry thee whither I know not. And so when I come and tell Ahab, and he cannot find thee, he shall slay me. But thy servant fear the Lord from my youth. Was it not told my Lord what I did when Jezebel slew the prophets of the Lord, and how I hid 100 of men of the Lord's prophets by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water. And now thou sayest, Go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here, and he shall slay me. And Elijah said, As the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself to him this day. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab, and told Ahab, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. So Obadiah was worried here. He thought, okay, if I go tell Ahab that this is where you're at, and we get back here and you're not here, he said, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. But still yet, Obadiah, he had that faith in Elijah. And it's not to put your faith in men, but just to put your faith and trust in God, that he was a man of God, and he was a man of God of his word.
Yes.
So Elijah assured him, he said, I'll be here when you get back. He's not running from this.
Come on,
He's not
man.
running from it at all, because he knows what God showed him. God's already told him, he said, you've got to show yourself Ahab. And Elijah told Ahab, he said, it'll not rain again until you see my face again.
Come
Until
on.
you see my face, you don't look for no rain.
Bless him, Lord.
Anyone, God, he had that. All right, verse 17 said, And it came to pass, when Ahab saw Elijah, and said unto him, Art thou he that troubleth Israel? Totally different than what Obadiah said to him, was it not? Obadiah said, Are you not my Lord Elijah? Ahab comes to him and said, Are you not the one troubling Israel? Trying to place the blame on him.
Yep,
You're the
sure.
one that caused this drought. You're the one that caused this famine. Is it you?
Come
Now
on.
listen to Elijah's response to him. And he answered and says, I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father's house, and that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and thou hast followed Balaam. Now therefore send and gather unto me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the groves 400, which eat at Jezebel's table. So he's telling them, bring them all out here. All those that Jezebel's in control of. See, Balaam back there was just one of those little G dead gods. It was just one of those. But he said, bring all them prophets out here. All of Jezebel's prophets, pretty much is what he's telling them.
Come
Bring
on.
them out here. He said, them with me. Anyone. Feel free now. Alright, verse 20 said, So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel, and gathered together the prophets together to the Mount Carmel. And Elijah came unto all the people, and said, How long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. Not a word. Where was their faith at? They wasn't sure which way they was going to go.
That's right.
They was those sunny day followers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When things were going good, oh, Baal. But when it's going bad, they wasn't going to speak up for it, was it?
No.
So they answered him not a word. Could you imagine the silence over all those people when he said, God's God, serve him. But if Baal's going to be God, we're going to serve him. They wouldn't choose, would they not?
They wouldn't.
They would not choose. Then Elijah said unto the people, I, even I only, remain a prophet of the Lord. But Balaam's prophets were 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose one bullock for themselves, and cut it into pieces, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under. So here everybody knows about this context, but we're going to go right on through here. There's a lot of good in this. And call ye on the name of your gods, and that's a little g God, if you'll read that right there. And I will call upon the name of the Lord, and the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, It is well spoken. So finally they've got enough about him to speak. They're not. So alright, if that's the way it's going to be, we'll speak on that matter.
Yeah.
And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, Choose you one bullock for yourselves, and dress it first for your meaning, and call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered. And they leaped upon the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, Cry aloud, for he is a God. Either he is talking, or he's pursuing, or he is in a journey. Peradventure he sleepeth, and must be awakened. And they cried aloud, and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lances, until the blood gushed out upon them. And it came to pass, when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that there was neither no voice, nor any answer, nor any regard. And Elijah said unto the people, Come near me. And all the people came near him.
Come on,
And
then.
he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down.
Sure did.
You had to start, didn't you?
Come
All
on.
right, you've had your chance. And all that they've done here, they've cut themselves, they've jumped up and down, busted the altar all to pieces.
Yep.
Something that should have been holy and sanctified to them, what was they doing?
Come on.
Jumping up, just making a big scene, a big scene. And he said, Come here. And what's the first thing he does? He has to repair that altar. He has to repair the altar. And Elijah took 12 stones, according to the numbers of the tribes of Jacob, and unto whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be thy name.
Bless him, Lord.
And with the stones he built an altar, and in the name of the Lord he made a trench around about the altar, as great as would contain 2 measures of seed. And he put the wood in order, and cut the bullock into pieces, and laid him on the wood, and said, Fill 4 barrels with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice, and on the wood. And I'm thinking, in my mind's mind, that
Come on, then.
they're there and they're seeing him do all these things. But he says, pour some water on that, just so they know. And we know how it would have been. Maybe if he would have not done that, they would have said, well, Baal answered right before you done that. But what he did, he dampened everything around there. There was no question that there was no fire under it from where they had prayed down. There was nothing about that place. It was soaked with water.
Bless it, Lord.
All right. Anyone?
Come on, then.
Interject any time now. And he said, do it the second time. And they did it the second time. And he said, do it a third time. And they did it a third time. And the water ran about the altar, and he filled the trench with water also. And it came to pass at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that thou art God in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things according to thy word. So all that he went through, he followed in order with it.
Yes.
There was nothing that he did that was out of order. First thing he had to do was replace the altar.
That's
Then
right.
he had to build it up. Then he had to get his wood. There was an order to this thing, and there has to be that way. A lot of times we want to jump steps in things in life, but if we go by order, a lot of times we don't have to go back and do it the second time. Elijah did it by the way God directed him to do it, and it worked out just exactly how he knew it was going to. There was no doubt about it that it was going to work out, because he went in the order.
Bless him, Lord.
Anyone? All right, verse 37 says, Hear me, O Lord. Hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord God, and that thou hast turned their hearts, back again. Then the fire of the Lord fell, and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. So not only did it consume the sacrifice, but it consumed it all. Even the stones it consumed. Could you imagine how hot a fire that had to be to consume the very stones that was there? It showed them this is all anew now.
Yeah.
But we want to be able to take those 12 stones anywhere else and try that again. It was all made anew right here. Anyone?
Come on, then.
All right, verse 39 says, When all the people saw it, they fell on their faces. And they said, The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. And Elijah said unto them, Take the prophets of Baal, and let not one of them escape. And And they took them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and slew them there. So he done away with that.
Yeah.
He didn't leave a one to go off and start this over again. When he put an end to it, when God puts an end to something, he wants an end to it.
Yeah.
It's us, that, as the Bible says, just like a pig returning to the mud. That's the way we are. A lot of times we'll just return right back into it. But he put an end to it. He destroyed every last one of them. There wasn't one of them that got away. And if you read and study on this, there's probably actually more of them here. Now, I'm not putting anything in the Bible. This is just what I've read. There's probably more of them here than what the Bible had said, because they all had their seconds. These priests would have people that went behind, the ones that held their staff, all this stuff. So there's probably more of them there than that. Could you imagine what was going on that day? But still yet, God said, put an end to all of them.
Yeah.
All of it. He tells us the same thing in our life. Get rid of that. You don't need that in your life.
No.
And what do? We'll say, okay, we'll get rid of it, and then we'll slip just a little bit of it back here and say, ain't nobody knows about that. And it won't take long, that'll fester back up on it.
That's right.
So I said, get rid of all of it. So it's exactly the way done. In order, mind you, in order. And Elijah said unto Ahab, get thee up and eat and drink, for there is a sound of abundance of rain. Well, where did he get that from? Where did he get that? He knew he'd done exactly what God had asked him to do.
Yep.
And what did God tell him? When you do this, there will be rain. So he's already proclaiming it.
Yeah.
He ain't even seen the cloud yet. He's telling him, you better get down from here, there's going to be some rain. So Ahab went to eat and drink, and Elijah went up to the top of Carmel and cast himself down upon the earth, and put his face between his knees. Lord, was he not humbled by this?
Yeah.
Was he not humbled that God carried him through all of this? These three and a half years here that they've been a famine, he didn't go hungry. Not at all. God had took care of him. So he got up there and he bent down and in just the humblest of ways, put his head between his knees and give thanks to God.
Yes.
And he said to his servant, go up now toward the sea. And he went and looked and said, there is nothing. He said, go again 7 times. And it came to pass the 7th time that he said, behold, there arises a cloud out of the sea, like a man's hand.
Yes.
And he said, go up, say unto Ahab, prepare thy chariot,
Get ready.
get thee down, that the rain stop thee not.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, went and told Ahab, he said, it's on its way. Verse 45 said, and it came to pass in the meantime that the heaven was black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. And Ahab rose and went to Jezreel, and the hand of the Lord was on Elijah, and he girded his loins and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. So the Lord picked old Elijah up, didn't he? Here Ahab is in his chariot. Elijah girded himself for what he's fixing to do. And took out.
Yeah.
He stayed out ahead of those horses, did he not? Could you imagine the light feeling that was in his heart?
Right.
The light feeling that was in his heart. We've all, and I know we have, whenever the Lord tells us to do something, Sean, and we do that, and whenever the Lord lets us finish with what we're doing, how good we feel in that. I'm sure Elijah felt the same way.
Amen.
That he took off running and he outrun those horses all the way to where they was going. He girded himself with it. And we have to gird ourselves with it. We know that the fight has come. We know that what we got to do is real.
Yep.
So why would we not look back? Why would we not understand that we was given this book right here for help?
Yeah.
It's not to condemn us with, but it sure does. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But it's our help. There's nothing new under the sun. The Bible teaches us that. There's nothing that we'll face that's not right here. It's not right here. We'll just look back and use this thing as an example for our lives. A lot of times we won't get in the troubles and the messes that we get in.
That's
Our walk
right.
will be a little closer. We'll have more power about us.
Yeah.
We won't blend in with this old world.
Thank you,
We'll
Lord.
stand out a different.
Thank you, Lord.
We sure will. Anyone got anything else?
Mm.
That's all I have this morning. All right. Move on to the service.
243 in the blue book when I traveled my last mile.
assure you today the Lord will do the leading if you're just willing to follow. It's a good place to be today. Thank the Lord for all He's done for us. Thank Him for the many blessings He's bestowed out upon me. We just walk away with life. Hope the Lord blesses you real good out this way today. You got something on your heart while you mind the Lord.
Marty, I have a request. Like that, thank God for the to be His house.
Bless the Lord.
I have a special request for our God. I know my church.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
Is this road
Hey, it is good being on this road. It'll be better, Jerry, when I get over there. Before this road's gonna lead to one day.
I might as well ask the Lord just to go ahead and forgive me.
I
I meant to ask Janie when we were in the choir to sing that song, and I thought, no, I'm not going to ask her to sing it. We sang that part. And then this morning, when we got to talking about Moses and they held his hands up, the first thing that came on my heart this morning was, I need to thank the church this morning for just holding my hands up for the past year, for being a strength for me, for having me through this past year. And I didn't do that
Hey, if he sends it back, you better go with it.
That's right. Me.
Hey, you don't have to. His love, His mercy endures.
It is a dream for everyone, but it's surely going to come unless the Lord sees fit to return before we die. Oh, but I'm not afraid to face the rain. Oh, very soon it will be day, and I know it's time to stay there. Oh, it's just a place to stay the night, a place to rest before my flying morning will come with the shadow of our King. And I will rise so high above the clouds, beyond the sky. Oh, it's not a grave, it's just a place to spend the night. Now there is a home that gives me home. It's to bring you comfort every round I'm gone. God made a promise there would come through this time. Oh, He'll sing His song after us. So sing His sing, grieving from their sin, and the children that sing, praise God will be the very first one to rise. Oh, it's just a place to spend the night, a place to rest before my flying morning will come with the sound of our King. And I will rise so high above the clouds, beyond the sky. Oh, it's not a grave, it's just a place to spend the night. Now there is a home, it's to bring you comfort even after I'm gone. God made a promise there would come through this time. Oh, they'll sing it. Praise God will be the very first one to rise. Oh, it's just a place to spend the night, a place to rest before my flying morning will come with the shadow of my King. And I will rise so high above the clouds, beyond the sky. Oh, it's not a grave, it's just a place to spend the night.
We was talking about how Herod went to Dash this morning and how the birds kind of ate on him, and kind of really got hung up about that. And I got to thinking, I ain't going to be in that grave. I don't care how many words is down there. I'm going down. I don't care if there ain't no birds and they ain't going to touch me, 'cause I'm going to
Thank you, Lord. Bless the Lord.
I've been held by the Spirit. I feel fire from above. I've been down to the river. I ain't the same, running cold return. All my hope is in Jesus. Thank God my yesterday's gone. All my sins are forgiven. Oh, I've been washed by the blood. I'm no stranger to prison. I've worn shackles and chains. Listen now. I've been freed and forgiven. I'm not going back. Never be the same. I sing all my hope is in Jesus. Thank God my yesterday's gone. All my sins are forgiven. Oh, I've been washed by the blood. There's a kind of thing that just breaks a man. Breaks him down to his knees. God, I've been broken more than a time or two. Then he picked me up, showed me what it means to be me. Come on, sing. All my hope is in Jesus. Thank God my yesterday's gone. All my sins are forgiven. Oh, I've been washed by the blood. All my hope is in Jesus. Thank God my yesterday's gone. All my sins are forgiven. Oh, I've been washed by the blood.
You know what? You asked me to sing this next song, and that song's been in that book for as long as I can remember. And thank you, Lord. When I hear about all these lost, and it says if I could just reach out just to Him, it's that easy, people. It's that easy. You know, the first time I sung it, Brother Jason come here, he said, "Lord, I love that song. Could you sing it?" I told him right there, standing right there, I said, "Jason, it's that easy." You know? I thank God, I mean, that song's been there forever. I've never sung it till that day.
Come on,
And
boy.
I'm so glad God gave me that to sing it. I just love everybody here. And I was on a job site. Right. We was in a church parking lot. This lady comes up. Obviously, we tore somebody's house down we weren't supposed to.
Come on.
You know, and she wasn't upset about that, but she's upset about the dirt and stuff in the church parking lot. She said, "You're going to clean the church parking lot?" I said, "No doubt. It'll be clean before I leave." You know, I got to talk to that lady, and I asked her to remember all our loss in this church. You know,
Come on,
we got
girl.
this. But there's this one that sticks up to me so bad, it's James, you know. She said she'd ask her church to pray for James and all our others lost. And I just thank God for just giving me the opportunity to talk to that lady. And
Thank you,
it
Lord.
didn't start off like I thought it was going to, but it ended well, and I thank God for that.
Yes.
Today in Sunday school, Robbie asked the kids,
to them, and they said yes. And then she said, do we always listen? And then she went to the adults and asked the adults, do we always listen? And I said no. And I don't want the kids to hear me say that, because I don't want to listen to him grow up when he talks to me. So I need to apologize to the kids, and I need to apologize to the church, and I need to apologize to my father, because I don't listen all the time. So I'm thankful for Robbie, because I've said this before, not only is she teaching the kids, but she's really teaching me. Being here, I'm thankful. I'm thankful.
Yes, praise the Lord.
A woman one day by many physicians, of the Hebrew words, Bible and clothes, but we
Jeremy, I think about James all the time, and I know that, you know, one's not no better than the other. I know James and before them had said that they were lost.
Right.
And
Right.
that's the ones that top my heart so strong.
Right.
I just like to ask everybody to just keep me in prayer that I always do what I do, because sometimes I get so weak, and I just like, God, help me get stronger. Just let things bother me, and shit bother me.
Me too.
Just pray for that Holy Spirit here this morning. I thank God for my family. I know Jeremy was pushing me the other day to sing, and I remember when I used to push him to sing. I just want to thank God this week. I can see my children up here working.
Yeah. Bless y'all. Hey, they're getting ready to sign one more. Just keeps coming to me. Come to me, all you that labor. Heavy laden. He's got rest for you. He's got what you need this morning.
Amen.
You'll find it.
Just ask.
You'll just ask, you'll see it. He'll take care of it as long as you leave it there.
That's right.
Amen. It'll be there in His hands.
Yes.
Thank you, dear Lord.
Jeffrey came up and he said, Mommy, he said, when were you saved? And I said, January 17th, 1995. And he said, where was it? And I said, at Relic Spike Missionary Baptist Church. And he said, and he just walked away. He took that as an answer. I don't want him to ever ask me if I have been saved. He knows I have. But I just want him to always know that Mama has been saved. And she's
Man.
one day.
Bless her.
I don't want anybody here to have to ask if I've been saved.
God. Yeah. Come on. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, dear Lord. It really was. It weighed the mountains,
I
Lord. Hey, looks like Bethany's got another song ready. You mind the Lord today, He'll bless you. Amen. While she's getting that ready, I tell you, let's do something. Let's do fellowship with me, if you would, please. You can, you will, and you're able. I'd like to meet you here today. If you're here today and you're lost, you come by this little old altar. Lord, I tell you, it'd be a good place to meet you. Amen. It'd be your spot. It'd be a wonderful place to get down the road. Amen. It may not, it'll come in handy too.
Bless you, Lord.
Oh, thank you, Lord. Come on. Hey, I hope the Lord has blessed you as good today as He has me. Amen. I cut my axe to run over today. Amen. It certainly has. While you stand there, I'm going to have to sing one more. We're going to sing Happy Birthday to Mark.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Martin. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, dear Lord. Hey, it's been a wonderful place to be. Amen. Thank the Lord and bless Him. It's so good. About somebody come with you tonight about 6 o'clock. See what the Lord's got to show you. Yeah. Amen.
Still remember my sister-in-law, she's not doing well at all.
Marty, I'm thankful to be here this morning. Thank God for what I can feel. I'm grateful that one of my best friends, you know, she and I've been raised together since we were born. I'm grateful to see her and her family here this morning. It means a lot. But say a prayer for Daddy. He has to go Monday to talk to a surgeon. He fell this weekend and shattered his wrist. So just say a prayer for him that the doctors will be able to fix it. I know God has to have control over it, but I know that He can lead that surgeon. Most of all, pray for the lost. Remember me, I go Wednesday for my new branch. Just pray that I'll be able to be a light to those and let my light shine.
That's right. Let it shine out. Amen. You'll be surprised.
Yes.
Amen. You'll just let Him be known. That's right. In your heart, I'm going to tell this before I let us go. Went back there to Friday, I guess it was. Dad had his surgery and all. And they had a curtain, around us. We just got talking about the Lord just for a few minutes. Here come a nurse down the hall. Opened that curtain open. She said, I just wanted to see who's talking about my Jesus. Amen. So I'm telling you today, there's people out there, amen, that really loves the Lord. They really are. Amen. God's got a great big army still yet.